Today's episode is a little different. There's no meta ad strategy, there's no funnel breakdown, no marketing hacks. Instead, I wanted to talk about something that's been sitting with me since coming back from holidays, because I realized that even though I have scheduled time for rest and to not think about work, I really haven't switched off completely. And I felt like that before going away, I had a million tabs opened in my brain. I felt overwhelmed. I felt exhausted. I felt burnt out. And now, after coming back from that time, have realized just how exhausted I think I was. And even though I have scheduled in my calendar to take afternoons off, to make sure that I'm resting, to make sure that I'm scheduling something in for myself to refill my cup, I honestly think that even though I was doing that, it wasn't helping, because I constantly felt like I was falling behind in my business, juggling motherhood as well as a business, solo parenting, the invisible mental load of bills that need to be paid, or enrolling into the next year of daycare, or cars needing servicing, all those things that we tend to do on top of everything else. And always thinking about, what am I going to post today? Or I have a live launch coming up and I have nothing planned. Or I need to get in and do my client retainer work. And I realized that even though I would be organizing dinner, I would also be in Claude or ChatGPT writing out my next Instagram captions, or I'd be waking up multiple times during the night because we still don't sleep through. I'd be picking up my phone and I would just be scrolling through socials. And even though I wasn't working every single day of the week, my brain was not switching off. And after taking this time away, I have definitely realized that, and I can feel that. We've just spent the last week up on the Gold Coast, and one of the things that I have done previously, and I did this time around as well, was lock my social media, and I put it into an app that I couldn't access. Every time I would go to open my social media, it would ask for my thumbprint or a code. And I did that because my habit of every time I pick up my phone is to just open social media. And it has just become such a habit that even when I don't want to open it, I tend to open it. And so I put it behind a locked app, which was really fantastic to help me curb that behavior. And the app that I used was just called App Lock, and you can add your apps in there. I didn't create any new content during that week. I shared a couple of stories of the sunrise on the beach, but that was it. I also was just checking in on my DMs because I was still technically in launch, and I wanted to make sure that there were no questions coming into my DMs. So every couple of days I would log in, check my DMs, but I would not sit there and scroll like I normally would. I would get out and switch off. And just not sharing everything that we did while we were away on holidays, not sharing to my stories in the moment. We took photos and videos and we had such great time as a family, and my husband and I, we got to take a few hours while our daughter got to spend time with her grandparents and just have that time, because we don't have that here. When we are back home, we don't take that time to get someone to come and look after her. We don't have those people that we can call on where they can come and look after Abby for a couple of hours while we get to go out or have dinner. And just giving myself permission to just switch off for that time. And you know what? No one went anywhere. Everyone was still there on socials when I came back, just like nothing had changed. And I think sometimes we feel like we might miss out on something, or we might miss something. But I can't tell you how much lighter and calmer my brain currently feels. And we were still up at 5 a.m. every morning. We still did not sleep great, but we made sure that we either went swimming or we did some activities. And then when she would have a nap, I would also have a nap as well. And it just makes a little difference. And I don't think I realized how much of a difference that had made. And I think that when we create that space, it really can create the clarity that we need. Because although nothing has really changed, coming out, going through a live launch beforehand, that was pretty stressful, that I was creating content on the fly for, that I had previously just spent the last 2 weeks rebuilding and remapping out this whole entire program, to have a launch that didn't really go to plan. And I started to really ask questions about the direction of my business. Is this something that I actually still want to do? The season that I'm in, everyone says it's just a season, it will change. But currently, the season I am in, we are 3 years in of broken sleep. And I just have had to really listen to myself and tune into my intuition again and listen to myself. And yes, this is a season that I'm in, but I also don't know when this season is going to end. Because with one season ending, another season comes. So I just am sitting in that space for the moment. And rather than thinking about what do I need to post, I'm really asking, what do I actually want my life to look like? And how do I now want to show up in my business? Because I don't want to go back to that version of me, of feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, or probably on the edge of burnout. And I don't want to go back to being that. And I notice so much of how when I and my nervous system is completely out of whack, how that also has an effect on Abby as well. And so I'm just sitting in that. I haven't even posted on social media since coming back. I've shared in my stories, a few stories, but I haven't actually posted, and I want to make sure that I'm really clear on that direction as I move forward, on what I want this to look like and what I want to focus on, and how I can support you guys, my community. So I think the biggest thing from just taking that time away is to, yes, make sure I am prioritizing time for myself, but also keeping my Instagram locked behind an app so that it's not the first thing that I go to. making sure that my mornings are not turning to my phone first thing in the morning. And I think that is really hard because sometimes I am still breastfeeding, and that is how I get her back to sleep, because it's honestly not worth the ordeal that we go through to get her back to sleep. She's such a sensitive little person. But sometimes she'll wake up at 5 and then she will go back to sleep, but I'm left there lying there because I try to go back to sleep and I can't. And so I tend to get my phone and scroll through my phone, and I know that is not a great habit, but it can be very challenging. So I am going to do my best to not open my phone first thing when I wake up, and just try to enjoy those moments first thing in the morning. Finding quality time to spend as a family, and finding time where we can take time to go to dinner together with just my husband and I, and allowing my brain space to breathe, and allowing that space to just be able to just think about whatever comes and flows. Because I think that when our brains are so overloaded, and when we're stressed and feeling all of the things, when things aren't going the way we had hoped, then I feel like that blocks out those new ideas that can come. And getting back into swimming and just doing those things that I enjoy doing myself. I've been going to the gym for nearly 2 months now, and that has become like part of my morning routine 4 days a week, which I've been really enjoying. But it's also finding those other moments, like going and walking on the beach once a week, or just going for coffee, or going swimming, and allowing that space back in. So I think that sometimes we work in our businesses and we get so focused on something that then we just fall into this pattern of creating more content, or signing up to that next program, or joining a mastermind, because that's what's going to get us to where we want to go. But sometimes I think taking a step back and looking at what we have created, that maybe it's no longer aligned to who we are or the season that we're in. And just because we take a step back doesn't mean that we're falling behind. And before we went away on holidays, I shared a video on social media that was very open to how I was feeling. And how burnt out I was feeling, and how business felt really hard. But I feel after being away, it has definitely brought some light to the tunnel that I felt like I was in. And I think for me, moving forward in my business is to really explore more around creating a business that is sustainable again, making sure that I have all of the systems in place. The other thing that I quite enjoyed was being able to step away from AI, Claude, ChatGPT, all of those tools that we use daily, and not have to even open them. I think so many times we go to those tools when I've got an idea and I want to build this out into a campaign, or I need to write an email, or can you come up with like podcast ideas for the next month? We tend to turn to it to help give us ideas rather than us just listening to our thoughts. And I did find it really nice to not have to open them for the week. And that is something that I'm going to just be more in tune with, and really just using those tools when necessary. And the other thing that I had done was inside of Manus was set up automated tasks to send me notifications on my retainer clients on how their sales were performing each morning. It would send me a detailed report on Telegram just with how many sales they'd had over that 24-hour period, their spend, and also how many leads had come through, just so that I could monitor that without having to open my laptop and physically go in and check the ad account. And that definitely was really helpful. I'm going to explore, and I have probably said this multiple times before, like building out my evergreen funnels and really nailing those. And I have been saying that for the last 6 months, but in order for me to take a step back from organic content and to create more space, I need to hone in on building out those high converting evergreen funnels and to nurture the audience through those. So that is something that I'm definitely going to be doing. I want to lean more into podcasts and recording podcasts because I enjoy doing them, and also being guests on podcast episodes as well. Leaning more so into paid ads to continually grow my list and move my audience through my funnel. And then just leaning into that quality over quantity when it comes to posting on social media. And I love creating content. I find creating videos so easy to do. But just because I find something easy to do doesn't mean I need to do it every day. And I think I also fell into that I was like, I'm just going to create a video today to share that without having a strategy around it. And so I need to go back to mapping out my content and what I'm going to post for that week. So then it's not spur of the moment. It's not every day. It's just quality over quantity. And that is what I have taken away from this week. It's really not even posting on social media, not sharing anything business related on stories, or sharing our in the moments on stories. It was just to completely switch off, and I really needed that more than I actually thought. And I teach systems and automations to other business owners, yet I had really slipped back into trying to do everything. But as we say, like you try to do everything, then you're never finishing anything. And I would have so many different tabs open. I would be recording a podcast, and I would be having Claude build out a vibe code, and I am just going to dedicate time to do one thing and finish that one thing and move on to the next thing once that's done. So that is what I'm going to be doing. And we are coming to the end of the financial year, which I cannot believe we are already at the end of June. So I guess I am going to share and ask you a series of questions on how you're currently feeling right now and what feels heavy for you, whether that is in business or in your personal life. Is there something that you could stop doing, where if you could drop some of the balls right now that won't break, that you could pick back up later on, what would that be? And what would happen if you posted less on social media, if that is something that feels overwhelming for you right now? Because I know that as I scroll through my socials, there's so much noise, and it's so easy to get sucked into that noise instead of thinking like, okay, but how does this work for me? And how is this going to save me time? So think about, before you go and implement like a new chatbot or a new AI tool, think about how it's going to help you save time. And where are you creating work that doesn't actually move the needle in your business? Because we can get so stuck in doing the things that actually aren't making a difference. And that was something that I have realized that I was doing. And what systems would allow you breathing room? And what I mean by that. So, for example, for my meta ad retainer clients, I can very easily run a monthly report and have it exported into a PDF document and have it all broken down so that they can very easily understand it on how our month has performed. Previously, I would have spent hours taking the information from Ads Manager and putting it into a Canva document. Now, with literally a prompt, Manus will go and pull that data and do that for me. And that allows me and saves me hours. So that can happen in 10-15 minutes versus doing it over 2 hours. And I'm going to just start focusing on one task. So for me, I am going to nail my evergreen funnels and start running meta ads to that. That is going to allow me to still bring in new leads into my email list without having to show up on social media as often. I'm still out there. I'm still getting in front of new eyes. I'm still getting in front of my ideal audience, but I don't have to be posting on social media every single day and hoping that content gets in front of the right person. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So what systems would allow you to create some room to just sit and allow your thoughts to come and go? And I think that the other thing I find is that taking time out of my business to go away, it can be quite challenging, because to go away as a family, I am waiting for my husband to get time off, which usually only happens like halfway through the year and then at the end of the year. And I need to create every few months some time and space where maybe I just have my own holiday. Maybe it's still at home, but it's actually not coming into the office. It's not working. It's just taking some time off from showing up on socials. So I don't have it all figured out, but I'm definitely coming back feeling clearer. And we all can show our highlight reels or highlight carousels and how business is, or what we achieved this week or this quarter or the last 6 months. But we are all struggling with something. And I think that if we all share the challenges that we've been going through recently, that allows for that conversation to open up and for others to relate to that. And the other thing that I think I've really been tuning into more is just being around other women, other mums, other business owners. And so I've been thinking about what can I create here that is local to bring others together. And whether that is a monthly catch up, whether that is a monthly co-work, that's something that I've definitely been thinking about because I miss that interaction. I miss being around other people. So I would love for you to, if you are listening to this episode and something has resonated with you, feel free to jump into my DMs and share how you're feeling. I am going to be planning out some really exciting episodes that are going to be coming up. And I'm excited for this next chapter coming the 1st of July because we are entering a new financial year. And we tend to wait until the start of the year to set new goals, to think about what it is that we want to achieve, but this is a time to maybe reflect and think about what you want the next 6 months, the next 12 months to look like in your business. So that's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this little episode that's been a little bit different. But I will look forward to you tuning in our next episode.